welcome back. It is the end of January 2023 and I am excited to be back here with you all. I hope that you all are having a wonderful start to the new year if this is the time of year when you celebrate the new year, and if not, I hope things are just going well for you. As you can see, I'm coming to you for the start of this video not from the garden but from our living room. The weather outside today is a bit hot and cold, just with like rain and wind and sun, and so I just thought rather than trying to shoot this intro outside, I would just do it from the comfort of our living room. I've got my cup of tea here and a nice little candle from my cousin Natalie, who I love so much. As it's the start of the new year, as far as the Gregorian calendar is concerned, I thought that for this first video at the start of 2023, it might be nice to, in addition to a little check-in with the garden, to spend some time just talking about the projects and goals that Kyle and I have planned. Yes, as I'm doing the video inside, you'll probably hear a lot of the cats as well, because they're normally pretty needy when we're in here, so I apologize for that. This will be, I think, our 5th growing season with our garden. Oh, there's Luca. 4th or 5th year with the garden, and so as I've kind of talked about before, going through year after year, you learn so much just by trial and error or trying things in different ways. Look at that little guy. Hi, buddy. And so it's really nice at the beginning of the year to kind of spend some time thinking about what kinds of what do we want to make sure we do this year? What new stuff do we want to try? Or what things do we need to get done before, the gardening season really gets going? So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to go outside, do a little quick tour, talk about, updates, what's going on outside, and then afterwards we'll finish with just a little conversation about some of those things that Kyle and I have planned for the new year. So let's get started. All right, so as usual, here's a little pan of what the garden is looking like, or the yard, I should say, from the back end near our sliding glass door. Most of the plants are in their dormant stage, so there's only a few green things right now, like the ferns and this camellia plant. It's got some new buds getting ready. These will probably come in April or May. This is what all of that mulch stuff from last month is looking like. Again, pretty gross. It's all dead, and right after I did the last video and I mulched all of this, I mulched it at a really great time because we had this really bad ice storm freezing thing here in Portland and the Pacific Northwest more generally. So I think that the mulching actually did a good job. Without it, I think the plants would have been worse off without having this extra layer of stuff. So it doesn't look pretty, but it's here for now, and we'll probably just keep this stuff here for the next few months. But again, you can see if you look in, this is new growth that's getting ready for next year, so that's a good sign. It's also, what is this? Something here. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. This is some kind of perennial flower. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's great. Here we've got some more little spiky things. This looks like I don't know, I would say a hosta, but I don't think we have one of those planted here. But anyway, that's kind of cool. So yeah, lots of little greenery down there. My mom got me this beautiful little lamp for Christmas. It's a little solar powered lamp, little moon. Very cute. Most of these solar powered lamps we got at Fred Meyer don't work anymore. They were on sale and cheap. A lot of this stuff is flowers and plants that I'm hoping to divide up this year and move some things around. So maybe that'll give me a chance to come in and really tackle all of this grass that has popped up. Preventing grass and keeping it from taking over your plants is just an ever-going challenge in the garden. So yeah, here's how things are looking.
Oh my gosh, it's a girly. She just wants to come outside so badly. But she can't. Beep's been really naughty lately, so she's an indoor girly now. She's being a big bully to the nice neighborhood cats, so we gotta keep her inside because she's being a big jerk. All right, I noticed that this eucalyptus tree is looking a little, I don't know, it's not so bad. The leaves feel fine, but it's a little darker and grayer in color than that one over there that's much more like lighter greenish blue. So hopefully, I mean, we don't really do much with these. They get plenty of water with the rain, and we just kind of let them do their thing. I removed the stake that was behind it, and it's kind of counterintuitive, but when you remove, like when this was young, it had a stake in it to help it stand up straight. But as it gets older, the stake can actually cause the tree to lean more because the tree thinks that that stake is like another tree, and so it grows away from it. So I removed the stake, and it actually has helped it straighten out a little bit. But yeah, these trees will probably keep small though, as long as we have them. Keep them as like shrubs. All the crow action. This is a little PSA. If you hear crows cawing, pay attention to what they're doing, because a lot of the times when they do that, it's because there's a bigger bird around. So like yesterday I was in the park and I heard all these crows cawing, and when I looked up, a bald eagle flew out of the tree right in front of me. And it's just the park like 200 feet next to our house. So it was pretty awesome. I don't know, they're cawing at something. So this is the bed. You can see my clearing out. I got rid of all the vegetable plants, but this dead nettle, I think it is still prevalent. And as you can see, I have not planted any garlic. So that's something I'm still gonna evaluate on whether I want to do that, if it's beyond hope. Oh, there they go. So this is the garden bed in our neighbor's yard that when he's not using, he lets us use. And I haven't actually cleaned this out from last year's growth either, but what we're planning on doing here is we have a rose bush in our front yard that Kyle and I have tried taking propagated or cuttings from and then propagating them, and we're gonna try and do that in here and have this be like a little rose nursery. Last year we did that and gave away some of the propagated plants to our friends, but I think they were a little too young and most of them didn't survive, so we're gonna try and keep them in here and maybe have them grow a little bit longer before we pot them up and give them away. But always a fun little thing to explore. Oh my god, there's something. These crows, they're cawing at something, you guys. Y'all. Alright, and this is all. Not really much going on here either. All these potted plants. This pear tree we'll probably pot in an actual plant instead of keeping it in the plastic one at some point. But that's the nice thing about winter is like these are just the jobs that we can get around to whenever. There's no like time crunch like there is in the summer and the spring. All right, so making our way back over here. I'm gonna keep an eye out. If I see like a big hawk or something, I'll try and get it on camera. I think they're up in that tree. I bet there's like a big hawk up there, you guys. Y'all, sorry, don't mean to gender you. And then in this area, again, not much has changed. Just kind of letting things grow as they are right now, but eventually I want to come through and clear these out, maybe plant some strawberries, but like these are always a challenge because the plants, because these containers aren't super big, the plants that are in here get really root bound And so when you go to remove them, it ends up just pulling out all of the soil that's in here. So you kind of, I guess it's, wasteful just in that you have to like use new soil, and it's, I don't know. It's challenging. So I'm hoping the strawberries will just be the final thing that they can fill this up and get root bound and go crazy, and that'll be great. I'm excited about our little carnation plant. This I swear I thought that it was done for last summer after all of the bad extreme heat we got, but I'm excited to see what comes of it. Some more yarrow. We've got yarrow all around here. But a lot of these containers are just like random things, random seeds and wildflowers, stuff like that. So I'll probably end up cleaning out a couple of these pots. We have like a few, and maybe use some of these pots for potting up the chrysanthemums that I want to split up, planting new seeds. That's one thing that is on my to-do list this year, is planting up a lot of the flower seeds that we have that we just haven't used. So yeah, that's something I'll be working on. There it is. Looks like a big hawk. Let's see if they come back around. I don't know if I can zoom on both of these cameras. Whoa! It's a bird moment. Whoa! Looks like a hawk. I can't tell what kind. Oh my gosh, look at it! Those crows are like, get the heck out of here. Oh! Nature. Oh my gosh. Beep's like, what about a beep moment? Beep, this is bigger than you. Whoa! Alright, bird folks. It looks like it's got like a light underbelly, under wings. Maybe like a gray or a creamish. Maybe a darker, I'm thinking like a darker gray top wing feathers. What is that? Y'all know. Is this a Swainson's or a Cooper? All right, and that's why we pay attention to the birds. I haven't shown a view of our front yard before, but this is what it looks like. Kyle came through earlier, like a week ago, and cut most of this stuff down. It was looking pretty overgrown before that, but as I've said, that's, just the normal thing you do in the fall, is come through and cut everything back. But yeah, in addition to our awesome backyard, we've got this whole front yard too. So as renters, we're super, super lucky. We've got roses, we've got like 6 different lavender plants. So blessed. We've got mugwort, all kinds of stuff. So I want to show some more content out here too. This lamb's ear has just spread wildly. It's really great. And one project that Kyle and I are working on is propagating some of this lamb's ear and planting it around the border of the yard as a natural way to keep in the wood chips, because sometimes the wood chips will like spill out into the sidewalk. But as you can see, the lamb's ear is doing a really great job at keeping them back. So it's another project that we're going to do this year. This is our little picnic table bird feeder that I love so much. It's so cute. The birds literally sit on it like a picnic table. It's adorable. I just made these pine cone peanut butter bird feeders this weekend, and so far the birds they've not taken to them yet, but the squirrels are trying their hardest to get to it. They smell that peanut butter, and you know, I don't blame them. And then a little hummingbird feeder. The hummingbird feeder has, you know, attracted some hummingbirds, which is awesome. And to kind of build on that, this year I wanted to plant some flowers in this pot, which just came with the place when we moved in. Last year I noticed that the hummingbirds really liked the gladiola flowers in the backyard. So I want to plant a couple of those here. That way, like, the hummingbirds will have the nectar, but also like natural nectar in the flowers. So this is our rose bush. Kyle's already cut it back quite a bit. It like literally gets so big that it will block out this walkway for our poor male person. But basically, sorry, there's a car. What we do is we can take cuttings of it. I can't remember exactly now. You cut it like under a node type thing. And last year we took some cuttings, dipped it in some root powder, put in some soil, and then that's how you propagate it. Oh, Luca. Hey, little guy. Oh my gosh, and a girly. Luca.
Alright, and so as I mentioned, I wanted to end this video today by spending some time talking about the various goals and projects that Kyle and I have in our minds for this coming year. Like I mentioned about the weather, it's raining and like super bright outside, so sorry if like the lighting is a little weird, but I'm sure the sun is gonna pass behind a cloud here in like a minute and then it'll go back to normal. But in the meantime, this is what it looks like. But yeah, so this is my just planner for like daily planning and stuff like that, but I took some notes in here on some of the projects and like goals we want to do, some new things we want to try to grow this year, and then here is just like a checklist I was doing for some research prior to this video. As I've talked about before, obviously I'm not a professional. I don't have formal training in gardening, and the majority of my experience and my knowledge has come from just trying things out, seeing what worked well and seeing what didn't work well. But I do think it's important to also like do some research ahead of time, just so that the information I'm sharing with you is, you know, as accurate as I am able to find. Also, another thing I've got here is one of my all-time favorite things I've ever gotten from Goodwill is this little seed like collector box. It's just a little tin. This is where Kyle and I keep all of our seeds. It's got little dividers and little seed packets that it comes with if you want to like save your own seeds. But otherwise we have like all of our seeds in here. This thing is really cool because in addition to that, it came with these like planning cards. For instance, this one is a by season, spring, summer, fall planting planner. So you can add the, I'll put it here, maybe it's a little bit easier to see, but the like plant name goes here along the top, and then like what season you want to plant it in. So you can kind of mark like when to plant certain things and then cross it off. It's just really helpful for like certain types of things, you know, grow better if they're planted earlier in the season or later. Or succession planting is something that is basically when you plant like radishes. For example, radishes are a very short season crop. They grow to maturity very quickly. So you can plant some and then like every couple weeks plant more, and that's called succession planting. And so that way, when they're ready to harvest, you don't just have like a ton at once, but you have some every couple weeks. You know, it kind of extends that growing season a little bit longer. This is also a little seasonal garden chore list. Again, it's by season. You just write your little chores. So definitely some of the items I have on my list, I'll be putting on here. And then this one's really cool. It's planning for like your garden bed. So you can kind of plot out like where you want to plant certain things, what kind of things you want to plant next to each other, or making sure that like you don't plant, or you do plant, like being mindful of, you know, how tall a certain plant is, and will it provide too much shade if it's in front of something that's shorter, or maybe if maybe that's good if the plant, like lettuce, doesn't want a ton of sun, planting it behind something that's a little bit taller might help it grow better. So this is just like a cool little card you can draw out your garden bed. We don't always use them, but I have them, so I might try to use them again this year. All right, I closed the curtain because it got way too bright with the direct sun. It's Portland in winter. Okay, but the first thing on this list, maybe not a surprise if you've been watching my videos, but was to either plant some garlic or just like figure out what's going on with the garlic. And I looked it up, and fall really is the best time to plant garlic. So I've decided I'm not gonna try and plant any here in the near future, and I'm just gonna wait until next fall to try that for the first time. The next thing is separating that eucalyptus tree that we have layered. At this point, I think I did that layering like a year and a half ago maybe. So it's probably ready to, well, we'll check on it and see if it looks like it's ready to be planted. I've also got on here some of the stuff I've talked about in the garden bed. So separating out the mums, dividing them up so that they're not as like crammed in the garden bed, and moving around some of like the irises and the asters that are also planted in that garden bed. It sounds like spring is generally the best time to separate mum plants, so that's great. Like that's something that I can get started on here in the next few months. Irises, from what I found, is that those are generally best to move at the end of like the growing season. Irises bloom pretty early, and so after they've bloomed and died back, that's, from what I saw, was generally the best time to move those around. But the first time I moved them around was in the spring, and that was years ago when we first like dug out that garden bed and put down some weed barrier, and I just kind of happened upon all the iris bulbs and ended up moving them around. So I know that spring might not be the ideal time to move those around, but based on previous experience having done that, they survived well enough. So I think I might still try and do that against best practice sooner, just because I'm tired of having them all clumped together at the end of the garden bed. Also want to plant some new flowers. I talked about this in the front yard a bit, planting some flowers out here in front of the window to attract more hummingbirds, some like natural nectar producing flowers. Additionally, propagating those roses that are out here and moving those into the garden bed, the extra garden bed that we have here in the back. Also propagating some of the lamb's ear that's here in the front yard. I also want to just use up a lot of the flower seeds that we have in here. Most of them are like older now, and generally it's good to buy like new seeds every year, seeds that you saved from last year's flowers. I think they tend to do better, but at this point I just kind of want to use up what we've got rather than going out and buying more. I think we've got some really nice, like, not native flowers, more like flowers I plant for my own satisfaction, like straw flowers. I love, they're colorful, they're really great for like crafts. I'm a very crafty person. They dry well and preserve well, so you can keep them around your house like just forever. So we have plants like that are more like ornamental, I would say. But we also have a lot of really great like native wildflower plants, and those are the ones that I really want to get out there for all of the pollinators, the bees, the birds, the flies, the bugs. Another exciting thing that I have on the list this year that is not something I'm 100% sure we'll be able to do, but I really want to look into this program where your yard can be certified as a like wildlife habitat. Kyle and I have, over the last few months, gotten really into like creating more of like a habitat for birds and animals in our yard. We've made bird feeders. I've been, really interested in bird baths and the little fountain I've shown before. Just creating more of like a yard that is attractive to wildlife, we think is really interesting. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. But it's a really cool program. If you're in the Portland area, I would totally look it up. It's called Wildlife Habitat Certification. They probably have similar programs like that in other places, but I'm in Portland, so that's what I know. So along those lines, we want to get more bird feeders. I want to get a bigger bird bath to maybe put out in the front yard where we get a lot more direct sun, so that that solar fountain that I have will, you know, be able to work year round, whereas right now in the backyard it's kind of only a summer type thing. This one's kind of random, but Kyle and I have always considered and talked about potentially getting a rain barrel and like putting together some sort of like water collection system in the backyard. We put up those gutters back there ourselves because when we first moved in, the rain would come down so strongly from the roof of our neighbor's carport that it would like displace a lot of the soil and like unbury some of the bulbs and stuff that were there. So it was really just not good for the garden bed. So we created the gutter so that the rain, instead of just like falling right down onto the soil, it kind of goes to the end and then waters down where the irises are. And our intention was always to add like an extra tube that would come down into some sort of like barrel to collect the rainwater. And then I have this kind of vision in mind where we put a rain barrel there, maybe elevate it a little bit, and then use, what is it, like a drip tape, I think is what it's called. It's kind of like a little flat hose with a bunch of holes in it, or you put the holes in it, I'm not really sure, but connect that to the barrel and put that through the garden bed or the flower bed right there. And then when it's time to water those flowers, which in the summer we do pretty much every day, you have to go out there and water. Instead of standing out there with the hose, you could just go and just open it, and then it kind of self-waters. You just leave it on for however long. It'll come out through the little holes, and yeah, it's kind of like a low-maintenance way to water your plants. So that's maybe more of like a bigger project, but we'll see. We've talked about it for a while, and I think it's pretty doable. Like, we have so much rain here. It's silly not to like do something with it. In addition to different projects like that, I also have a list here of some new foods we might want to try, like new stuff to grow in the vegetable and fruit garden. The strawberries are one I've talked about a lot. Garlic, as I've talked about many times. Radishes and carrots, those are like two of my favorite vegetables. We grew them our first year here, and then I've just never, and it's crazy because they're so easy to grow. There's like radishes, especially, so fast. I don't know why I just haven't like grown them year after year, but I really should because I eat those all the time. And then also something different for that arch that we had last year. We also need to redo the arch because it was a little flimsy. We didn't find the exact, I think it's called cattle panel or something like that. I'm forgetting, but it has to be sturdy, especially if it's gonna hold up stuff like squash, cucumbers, you know, those types of things. The one we had was pretty flimsy, and obviously the peas that we planted didn't really do that well on it. Probably wasn't their fault. I mean, we planted them super late, and we had like super hot weather once it finally turned into summer here. So yeah, we're gonna think about what we want to do instead, but I do really like the idea of having the arch, so we're gonna put something there to make it look nice, even if it's just like vining flowers like jasmine or something. I think would be really fun. I think that about does it. There's maybe like a couple other things on here of like checking for certain types of flowers at the local garden shop we have right here. We're grateful that we have a garden shop within walking distance from us. It's a really cool shop. It's called Symbiop. If you're in Portland, I would totally check them out. That's pretty much all of the big stuff. So another reason why I wanted to do this in the video is kind of as an accountability practice. Now that I've shared kind of what our goals are for the year, I'm hoping it'll be easier to like check back in on them each month as I do these videos and just kind of see what we've made progress on. Of course, like the best plan is a flexible plan, so what maybe we've had to modify or, you know, decide not to do. All of that is good and great. So yeah, thank you all for joining, for going through this project planning with me. I have a lot of fun making these videos, and I really appreciate those of you who are tuning in and talking to me about it. It really means a lot. So thank you all so much, and have a good rest of the month, and I'll see you next month. Take care.